Most real estate agents have their careers plateau usually 3 to 5 years within the business, and then they stay at the same production level for a very long time. Or they make a material change that will increase, or they get out of the business altogether because they're just not doing what they want to do. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the two major things that cause agents to plateau, and then we're going to talk about how to make that not happen by using the law of inversion, which we'll get to in a second. And I have watched agents do this on my team, outside of my team, agents that have left, agents that have joined another company or from another company have joined my team and broke through this. And it's really a mindset shift that is required in order for this to happen. I personally did this as well too in both of my careers, and I have done this as a salesperson before real estate, as a salesperson in real estate, as well as a business owner as well too. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, first of all, let's talk about the two major reasons why most real estate agents plateau. Now, to be clear, plateauing could be at $50,000 a year in income. It could be at $150,000 or $200,000 a year in income. Typically, when an agent is plateauing, they're either comfortable where they're at, and that's not really who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the agent who is plateaued at $100,000 a year and they want to get to that $150,000 to $200,000 mark to have a huge change in their life, and they just can't make it happen. So here's the two reasons. Reason number one, most real estate agents run a transactional business, meaning they go from deal to deal and they do not leverage relationships in a transaction. So that's number one. Number one is most real estate agents are transactional. Number two is almost counterintuitive to being transactional, is most agents are lackluster or lazy might be it's probably the right word. Lazy or not focused or not here's the point, not consistent with their lead generation efforts. So most agents are plateaued because number one, they're transactional. So they're going from one deal to the next and the next. They are always looking in a lead generation and conversion to close deal. The second thing is they have no consistent mechanism to continue to get new leads coming in, whether that be cold calling, door knocking, open houses, ads, whatever it is, that matters less. It's these two things combined together are really deadly for this business. So let's take the opposite of that. So if we say an agent is transactional and an agent does not have consistent lead generation, I think why an agent would plateau that does those two things is pretty obvious. So let's just flip those to the exact opposite. This is using the law of inversion, something Charlie Munger talked about all the time, is you look at the opposite to figure out what should you do. Well, if you don't want to plateau in your business and you want to continue to compound and make more money with the same effort or even less effort year over year over year over year, you would not want to be transactional, and you would also want to have consistent lead generation coming in. So let's talk about not being transactional in the first place. So if you were to be the opposite of transactional, you would be a relationship builder. You would be a community builder as a real estate agent. And what would this look like? Well, it would look like all of your past clients love you. They all refer you business, and maybe they don't all refer you business, but a lot of them do. And then not only that, the leads in your database that you have not done a transaction with are also going to refer you business and are also going to support whatever it is you're doing. This is the type of agent that does a past client event or a VIP client event and hundreds and hundreds of people show up. So for example, maybe somebody that's been in business for 5 years and has closed 10 to 20 transactions every year has 100 past clients that would show up. Well, if every other past client brought somebody, you double the size of this event. And if you get all of those people as a lead, maybe they're registering to bring the friend, whatever it might be. If this is the type of agent that is compounding their database because they are known, liked, and trust, and they are intentional about building relationships. And imagine if you did that every year, is you do another 10 or 20 transactions and you build another 5 to 10 real relationships and you get referrals every single year from 5 to 10 more and more people. This compounds over time. And this is what allows an agent to work less the farther they get in their career and actually make more. And why so many agents fail to have this happen is because they act transactional. And they might not mean to, but the reality is, when was the last time you called your past clients? When was the last time you sent them a text message? When was the last time you sent them a anniversary gift or a birthday gift or whatever? And it could be a handwritten card with a $5 Starbucks card in it. You don't need to spend a ton of money. Most agents don't want to reach out to their past clients. The number one reason I hear is like, oh, I know they're not moving. They don't need me. And it's like, so you're only going to call them when they're going to do a deal? Like, that's the opposite of a relationship, right? That's like the friend who only reaches out to you when they need they need your help to help them move or whatever. Like, that's the worst. So when you look at it that way, number one is, how can you avoid being transactional? And how, because this isn't yes or no, it is how transactional are you, or how relationship driven are you? Now, my advice here, and this is taken straight from the playbook of my buddy Eric Daniels, shout out to him. He's actually hosting a free training in our community tomorrow. So if you happen to be watching this, which you're not, you'll get the recording, but it's for free. So this is in there, and we have trainings like this all the time in our community. So if you want to join that, the link is going to be in the description below. There's a ton of stuff in there, including our sales masterclass, 2,200 agents. But the point of this, Eric Daniels is a killer at building relationships and getting referrals from past clients, repeat and referral business. And it is not rocket science, but it does take effort. So he explains it like, you have your whole database, and let's say you have 200 leads in your database. Well, a certain percentage of that, maybe 10%, maybe 20, but let's say 10, are like A+ clients who will, and A+ not meaning like they're buying right now. A+ meaning they're, let's say this, they are your referral, your VIP clients, your VIP people in your database who are going to refer you leads. And they're likely going to refer you one lead every single year. So if you have 200 leads, 10% of that would be 20. So if you had 20 people refer you one person every single year, that'd be 20 referral leads. And I know based on our metrics that you should convert a referral, a warm referral like that, somewhere like 1 out of every 5 leads. So that right there is 4 additional transactions just from getting referrals from your past clients. Now, depending on your price point, that may or may not make a big dent in your business, but I like the idea of free. Now, here's the reality is if you do that again next year, your database of 200 leads is probably now 300 or 400, and 10% is now 30 to 40, and that compounds over and over and over again. And over time, you take a bigger percentage of your database and take them from leads to clients. And then you have more and more and more, you're stacking those VIP clients. And I would encourage you to spend a real marketing budget on those VIP clients. This is something I sold for 2 years in my career before I jumped completely out to run my team. However, this is the part where I dropped the ball the most, which is why it's something that I talk about a lot with our agents, because I don't want them to make the same mistakes. So have a real true marketing budget for those VIPs. Okay, so that's the transactional versus not transactional side. Let's talk about the lead generation side. Now, this one's a little bit more black and white because it frankly depends on what your lead generation pillars are. But we know open houses, you do more of them and you do them better. We know cold calling, door knocking, you get better scripts, you role play more, and then you just simply do more of them. So there's a lot of things like that. But on the flip side, there's also paid ads. As much as people like to slam on Realtor.com and Zillow and buying leads, I built my career on that, made hundreds of thousands of dollars as an agent my first couple of years doing that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it just is a different way of doing business than just door knocking or cold calling. I personally hated those things, and I didn't mind spending money. But it's no different also than making content. We make 28 pieces of short form content times 2 different platforms, plus 3 different platforms. We post hundreds of times every single week, probably somewhere between 1 and 250 times per week, somewhere in there. And this is to generate inbound leads from our consumers. And we do this so that our agents can do deals of people who already know, like, and trust us. So I make content for you as a real estate agent, and this is to add value to you. Maybe you're in the market and you want to join a fantastic team like Onyx Homes, or maybe you're not, and that's fine. But we also make consumer-facing content as well too, for buyers and sellers in the Southern California market. And the leads that come in that watch our hour after hour after hour of video are super high quality leads, typically at over our average price point, and they're not interviewing other agents. They're asking for us to help them. So the reason I mention this is not because I think you should do that, but it's because I know that I need to film 1, 2, 3, 4 videos right after I film this one. And then one of those, every single one of those long form videos, I have 5 short forms that I also need to film there as well too. And this is what I do every single Tuesday. On top of that, I write an email newsletter for you real estate agents as well as consumers as well too. So those are the activities that I know I need to do in order to get the content out. And I have a team behind me to do all of the behind the scenes stuff, but I know what I need to do in front of the camera. I honestly don't even know what happens between me pushing stop filming and it getting posted, but everything, I built a system so that lead generation happens. And you have to do the same thing in your business as well too. And here's the point with either one of these things is you want to make it happen on purpose as opposed to it happening by accident. Most agents, their lead generation happens on accident. Their relationship building is on accident. And when I say on accident, you want to generate leads. You want to have relationships with your past clients in your database. But you are not intentional. Most people are not intentional with doing the actions that are going to lead to that result. So to wrap this all together, if you are in a plateau, it is probably because you're doing one or both of these things. You're being too because it's not yes or no. You're being too transactional with your existing database you have. And the way that I would look at this is I explain this as two different buckets. You have bucket number one are leads and bucket number two are clients. So if you have 100 leads in your database, how many of those are leads versus clients? And I would define client as somebody that's going to work with you. You're 90% sure. So you want to take as many of those people in the leads bucket and pour them into clients bucket. So if you have 80% of your total leads are clients, you're doing great. Now, if you have 90% are leads and 10% are clients, let's try to add more value so that they become clients. There's a lot of different ways to do that. This isn't so much a tactical video, more of I want to shift the mindset of how to run a successful real estate business. That's number one. Number two is your lead generation. I would figure out what your key performance indicators, your KPIs that you need to do every single week. I know that I have to film these videos. Otherwise, none of the content will happen and none of the lead generation will happen. Now, there's 100 other things that happen in our team because we generate 1,000 leads a month, but that is the number one thing that is my priority, is making sure that we are filming all these and I know this is what I have to do. So you figuring out what that is for you. Maybe it's how many doors you knock, how many times you role play, maybe it's how many conversations you have, how many appointments you set, whatever that is, make sure you have your numbers. So let's bring this all together. At the end of the day, if you are building relationships with your current database plus the leads you have coming in, and you have a consistent mechanism to generate leads, your goals are really just at the end of the day, it's how many leads do you actually generate? What are the actual activities you have to do? And then it just comes down to execution. So whether you say you want to make X amount of dollars or not, at the end of the day, it really comes down to you actually doing what you need to do in order to hit that goal. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's where you need help in a community. Like I said, go ahead and join the community, post what you want to do, and you need help re-engineering it from the back to the front. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Post that in the community down below, and I'll see you in the next video.